Just setting up the live stream. Please bear with me. Okay, I think we are good to go. So, we are at Emerald in Australia. I'm just going to go and set things up. Make sure things are running correctly. They look good. Okay, so I can see the live stream now, and you can see what I'm seeing, which is always a good idea. Let's go and see what the volume levels are looking like. I'm going to turn the airplane down a little bit, or the simulator down a little bit. So we're going to, actually no, while we're looking around the airport, you probably want to be able to hear the wind and the animals. So, this is Emerald in Queensland. So if we go and have a look at the map. So show you where it is in Australia. So there's the Australian mainland. We're up here in the northeast. In the, I think I call it the north central part of Queensland, maybe? I'm not sure. So we're going to have a good look around the Emerald scenery from Orbx, and then we'll go and have a dig around the nearby lake, and should be good fun. So let's have a look at the airfield without further ado. So you can see there's, outside of the airfield boundary, there's some radio masts here, and it's all been modelled. So it's in here. I'm guessing this is long wave. I'm not an expert on radio. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that. So it's really nicely done. So someone's probably going to wander into the live stream as we're looking at this and saying, what on earth are you looking at? It's a shed in a field. You can see there's a couple of satellite dishes down here. So let's go and have a look actually and see, have they modelled the road as part of the scenery? How far have they taken it? Okay, so that building doesn't have cars in the car park, so yeah, it looks like they've just gone up to the road. So when you come over the border here, you start to get the actual scenery for the airfield with the entranceway. Very cool. Fences are modelled along the edges of the airport. So if we come in towards the airfield, this has been done really nicely, hasn't it? You can see already. There's quite a lot of load on demand stuff going on as well, where things are not rendering until we're on top of them, which will save the frame rate enormously. So just having a nosy around the parked aircraft before we go. Actually, let's have a fly around, look at the airfield itself before we come down to the buildings and have a look around them. So we got 2 runways. Windsock. Nicely mowed stretch of grass either side of the main runway. So the runway's big enough to take commercial traffic, so Airbuses and 737s can come in here. You can see there's one parked up over there right now. So it's not a small airfield at all, it's quite big. So let's come and fly back down towards the terminal. You can see our aeroplane we're going to be flying today when we go for an explore, and that's going to be the Tiger Moth. So we'll be using Ants Aeroplanes Tiger Moth to go exploring around the area in a few minutes. Okay, but before we do that though, we're going to have a good look around the airport here, Emerald. So Emerald's available from Orbx. They sent me an email last week saying would I like to show everybody this airport. So if we go and have a look outside first before we go inside the building. So it's obviously got some quite distinctive artwork here in the on the air side of the airport. There's an emu there. And I'm not sure what sort of bird that is supposed to be, but obviously something native. Okay, so arrivals. So, disclaimer, I've seen some screenshots of this. I've not actually looked around it yet, but I was absolutely stunned by what I saw in terms of the quality of the people and the rendering and the situations that were shown with the people. I just thought it looked really, really good. It's a bit of a masterpiece. So quite often the people look like they've just landed from outer space in the middle of the scene, but this looks like it's all been done really nicely. You know, they're not incongruous, if that makes sense. So we've got the guy here. Should we go and get a ticket for somewhere? Where should we go? Brisbane by the look of it. What do they have in the snacks? So we've got Smith's and various other makes. M&M's down the bottom there. Maybe I should start doing opportunities for product placement within the sim. But yeah, the people are really great, aren't they? Really nicely done. They're some of the best I've seen in the simulator, I think. It's a shame they're not animated, but you can't have everything, I guess. Again, Brisbane. So let's go down to the other end of the building and have a look. So we're going to whiz through the glass here. It's very cool, isn't it? I wouldn't mind betting, obviously I've not seen the real place, I wouldn't mind betting this is exactly the same as the real place. It's so well done, isn't it? Oh, I'm sure I've seen that guy somewhere before. I think he was sat down the other end, wasn't he? He's just spotted the sign for the burgers that are on offer somewhere, maybe. It's very cool though, isn't it? Really well made building. Okay. So now we've had a nose around, probably makes sense to go and get in the aeroplane and go and have a taxi around. Before we do, I just want to go and have a look in some of the hangars because I think there's several rescue services that operate from here. Yeah, I think this is one of them. So obviously the hangar has been modelled in quite some detail. Trolley there to wheel the helicopter out. It's nicely built here, isn't it? So how is that one different? Is it just a different colour scheme on this one, or is it a different model? Looks like just a different colour scheme, isn't it? Even the interior's been built, look. Oh my word. That's just craziness. Okay, let's go find our aeroplane. I am super impressed with this. But then I'm easily impressed with the simulator. Everybody knows that. Okay, so Shift and X will put us back in normal camera view world. Shift Space will center the view up, and Alt 7 will go and sort out the head tracking. I'm going to turn head tracking off for a moment. So we're going to pull out the tablet, and I'm going to try and remember how this works. So let's have a look. If I turn the parking brake off, yeah, that gets rid of the chocks for us. So we want to pull the hinges back up. I think we just click on the hinges, don't we? Pull the panels up, I mean, sorry. And then, now this will be made easier if I had head tracking, which I've just switched back on. So down the sides of the cockpit, you've got the mags. I'm not sure if they're, no, just one side. Okay, so from memory, we have to go to the outside views to get the aeroplane ready. So there's the mixture. There's the throttle. So we're going to crack the throttle open. So we need to wind the throttle backwards a few times. And then forwards. So then we can press Shift and Space to bring ourselves back into the cockpit. So we're not going to need the tablet at all, are we? So does the red button get rid of it? Yes, it does. We don't really need a GPS either. I'm not sure how we get rid of that though. Can we just click down there? Yeah, we can. Okay, let's check the volume levels. So obviously I want you to be able to hear me over the top of the engine. It's looking okay so far. Okay, we got live weather on, I think. So we've got 7 knots out of the east. So we should be able to just go down Alpha then onto the runway. There isn't a tower here, so there's no point playing with say intentions with nobody around. Although I guess we could ask the tour guide. Hi, what can you tell us about Emerald?
Emerald, me friend. It's a wee gem of a town known as the gateway to the Central Highlands of Queensland. Founded in the 1870s, it was originally a base for the railway workers building the line to the gem fields. Nowadays it's famous for its Sunflower Festival and the massive Van Gogh sunflower painting, which is a sight to behold. And if you're a fan of the great outdoors, the nearby Fairbairn Dam is a grand spot for a bit of fishing or a picnic.
There you go. So I'm just going to change that away. I know Two-Tone Murphy will be very self-conscious if he crosses over our video and discovers himself talking. So when we were flying in Ireland the other day, we switched him over for a bit of fun along the way. So we're going to put the tour guide over to Sarah and minimise her out of the way and get on our way again. I do like the Tiger Moth. It's a nice, how would you say it? A more civilised aeroplane. What's the Star Wars quote? A more elegant aeroplane for a more civilised age. Look at the textures and the way the light bounces off the ribs on the runway. Rally up. And we're up. crazy, isn't it? We're still over the runway because the Tiger Moth needs almost no room at all to take off. So we're going to loop round and explore. So we'll turn first across the runway, or across the airfield. Let's just check the volume levels. So, yeah, so I need to turn the airplane down a bit, don't I? So it should be okay now. Should be able to hear me over the top of it. So I'm just proving I am watching the live stream comments. I wonder how many touch and goes we could do in the length of the runway. I think the real star of the show here is the new scenery in Flight Simulator. It really is something else, isn't it? When they have high definition satellite scans to go, or not satellite, but aerial photography to use, it's something else. Just dipping down to the fence here and low over the ground. It's mad, isn't it? Do you know, there's no other plane I'd be comfortable doing this with in the simulator. Tiger Moth is a bit of a one-off. Tootling along at 30 knots. It's mad, isn't it? I'm just wondering if we go hunting around the fields if we'll find some kangaroos or cattle around. If we just go exploring, we'll probably run across some somewhere. hanging on the wings. It's amusing, isn't it? So one of the nice things, I'm just reading the live stream comments there, people mentioning the Jenny. One of the nice things about a Tiger Moth, or certainly the Ants Aeroplanes version, is it does have a kind of a secret autopilot built in. So you can do long range trips that aren't going to be too onerous. So coming back towards the airfield, now there's a lake nearby. I need to find out which way it is though. Let's go and zoom out, take the centering off. So down to our southwest then. So let's go off towards the southwest. Okay. I'm half tempted to go along the highway. See it being thrown around, can't you? It doesn't weigh much. I'm always on the lookout to see if I can see any kangaroos around. What's that in the middle of the track down here? No, it's just a rock. I guess the GPS is a good idea to have out, isn't it? Just so we can see where we're going. Have some bearings of where we are along the way. Just going to have a look at the field, see what the textures are like. I don't know if you noticed, the trees are getting greener the closer we get to water. It's obviously all marshland across here, but suddenly we have green fields. There's obviously irrigation as well, but so yes, we're in the Tiger Moth for anybody that was wondering, and here it is. We're just exploring the area around Emerald that's been released by Orbx. Okay, there's a lake here. It's probably infested with crocodiles, but we're going to have a look at it. Lake Maraboon. So we've just flown over the local kids motocross club track, which must be down, oh, it'd be that cleared area over there, won't it? Turn rate on a Tiger Moth is ridiculous. Let's see if we can drop into this channel that's been cut through the bush. This is one of the huge advantages of head tracking. So is this some sort of hydro power plant here, maybe? I don't know. If we look at the map, no doubt it is, but that'd be boring, wouldn't it? Absolutely knowing. Look how muddy the water is. So, is there anything on the bank that we should stay away from? No, that's just rocks. I don't know how Flight Simulator deals with putting wildlife in, whether it just does it according to biomes or whether they are seeded in specific places. I really don't know. I thought they were going to put a lot more in, but I've not seen a great deal of it yet. Mind you, I thought they were going to put a lot more boats in, and I've not seen those either. Whether the big update that's coming will fix a lot of that, I'm not sure. I'm secretly looking for anywhere we might be able to put it down on the water's edge somewhere. If we get a blank patch somewhere with no trees. I mean, there's an area in there, look, which is ripe for a tiger moth. Oh, maybe not. Those trees are just in the wrong place in the middle, aren't they? That would be a bit squirrely. Oh, and there's a stitch in the landscape there as well, you can see. Where can we find? I mean, there's probably enough there actually, if we miss the rocks. This beach looks like it might be quite bumpy once you get close to it. There's trees and boulders and stuff. No, thank you. This is good fun, isn't it? Be aware of how close my wing is getting to these trees. Oh, this looks like... Can we avoid the boulders? You put that sapling there. Just. Okay, let's get out and go for a walk. and avoid taking an unplanned haircut. That's mad, isn't it? It really is. Well, there's a bit of a problem with his feet sinking into the stones, but anyway, we've got to get back out of here now. Left turn, Clyde. Nearly got the wheels wet. Just. Trying to get some airspeed. Oh my word, that was a bit close. I think it does have shocks, just looking at live stream comments there. Obviously I was a bit preoccupied with saving my own life rather than watching the shock animation. Okay, so which direction are we going? I was going to say, I think we're headed back the right direction. So if we keep the sun about at our 1 or 2 o'clock, yeah, we should be good. Yeah, so here's what we thought might be a hydro plant. Should we have a look on the map and see what it actually is? So it's the Fairbairn Dam. So it probably is a hydro plant of some description. Sun needs to stay at about 1 o'clock-ish. And we'll zoom back towards Emerald. So the question is being raised in the live stream comments. Does LittleNavMap only work if you previously had it running in 2020? Yes, because it can't read the database from 2024 yet, so I'm stuck with the old, the latest version I had before I removed 2020. Thankfully I didn't remove LittleNavMap, so it kept its database. So I imagine there might very well be at the moment, a market in people making their LittleNavMap database files available for download. I haven't done so. I'm not sure what the rights would be around that, because they would contain potentially copyrighted information, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. So the scenery data from the simulator is part of the simulator, so I don't know quite how that stands legally. Because if you weren't aware, that's how LittleNavMap fills its map up. it reads the scenery from the simulator, which is why it can see everything, and the same reason is why things like Navigraph can't. Where is this? Let's have a look on the map, see where we are. Okay, so we want to go a little bit more north. Navigraph is very good, but it's more tailored towards IFR rather than VFR, and yes, I know they've added a VFR chart to it, but it still isn't as well. I say that LittleNavMap only becomes really good when you add the completely unofficial Google Terrain View to it. Before you do that, it's not quite so good. So just to compare it, look, this is the Google Terrain View that gives you all the contours and all the rest of it. If I go and open Navigraph while we're running, just keep it on the aeroplane for a moment here. The Tiger Moth is a bit of a box of frogs, you have to fly it the whole time. So if we do a new flight, for example, and you can see where here we are, look, there's the radials away from Emerald. That's an IFR chart. If you go to VFR, it's not quite as good as the Google Terrain View. It hasn't got labels on it of local places, for one thing. That said, if you're in the US, then Navigraph suddenly wins because it's got the FAA sectionals. You can have satellite view as well, but obviously that's not as clear in terms of showing you contours, for example. Ah, so Alistair is saying there is a beta of LittleNavMap now that can read the data. Is that they were talking about, or Alex was talking about using a trick of, it's a very crafty trick actually, of using the SimConnect interface to effectively spider the information. Because you can use the nearest airports and nearest beacons, things like that. There are SimConnect calls where you could essentially spider everything. But not quite as much information as it would have got, you know, using 2020, where you just had open access to the scenery database. But I know one of the avenues Alex, the developer of LittleNavMap, was looking at was using the SimConnect calls to spider it. But I think that the danger there was it could have run into throttling issues with the number of calls you can make quickly of SimConnect. Okay, so airfield's out to our left. Let's follow the main road, shall we? Make everybody feel sick all of a sudden. Of course, the other thing you can do in a Tiger Moth is side slip it like crazy. Saplings. Need airspeed in a hurry. Okay, let's climb so we actually get visuals on the airfield. It's not far away. Right in front of us, in fact. Should we go over the river over here? Follow the river in towards the airfield. Okay, this is all irrigation. Look, you can see all the ditches that have been dug. Okay, we are back to Emerald. Let's ask the tour guide. What can you tell us about the local area?
As we soar over Emerald, Australia, at our 2 o'clock, you'll notice the stunning Fairbairn Dam. Completed in 1972, this dam is a crucial water source for the region and creates the expansive Lake Maraboon. It's a popular spot for fishing, with barramundi and red claw crayfish being local favorites. The lake is also a haven for birdwatchers, with a variety of species making it their home. Fun fact, Maraboon means where the black ducks fly in the local Aboriginal language, so keep an eye out for those ducks enjoying their flight as much as we are.
There we go. And what can you tell us about Queensland?
Queensland, or QLD, is Australia's second largest state and is known for its stunning natural beauty and diverse landscapes. It's home to the Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest coral reef system, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Queensland's capital, Brisbane, is a vibrant city with a rich art scene and beautiful river views. The state is also famous for its tropical rainforests, such as the Daintree, which is one of the oldest in the world. Queenslanders are known for their laid-back lifestyle and love for outdoor activities, making it a popular destination for tourists seeking adventure and relaxation alike.
I'm not going to land, by the way. I'm just coming down low to see the shadow. This is what I said about being able to side-slip this thing like crazy. We get told off now for buzzing the car park. Let's go and explore the town and see how well modelled it is. Oh, you have no idea. I'm just reading Martin's comment about this thing turning well. I'll go full throttle in a moment and go into what would have been a turning fight in post-World War I flight training. You'll be stunned. Yeah, so this is just your typical AI-generated streets. Let's get some speed up as we roll in towards the airfield. And then once we're over the flat of the airfield, I'll put it into a sustained turn. I'm trying to remember which way the propeller spins. It's difficult to see from out here. When we turned it at the start, we span it it will be going clockwise from this point of view, won't it? Because that will have a bearing on which will be the tighter turning radius. We'll try it anyway. Okay, so we're doing 80 knots. Are you ready? So I'm going to do this without rudder because I don't want to cause too much trouble. Yeah, it's starting to fall out of the airlock. To recover it then. There was no... Let's use rudder as well then. That's full, yeah, full opposite aileron, and it couldn't quite keep it out of the turn. Let's try a right turn then. So I'm having to go left aileron quite a lot. It's wanting to fall in. Yeah. Did I see an aeroplane leaving a moment ago? Or did I imagine that? Oh yeah, there's somebody taxiing. And they've gone into the trees at the far end of the runway. Just trying to lose us some airspeed. You have to be quite careful with using the ailerons as well while you're on the ground. The ground tracker of the wheels isn't that wide. It's wider than some. But yeah, you can see with these great big ailerons, even going at this speed, you can see them tipping the wing around. It doesn't weigh much, which does mean though, conversely, you've got a lot of control authority. Just for a bit of fun. Ready? We're going to gun the engine. And we are off the ground. About 25 to 30 knots. Oh, we were going to have a look at this sort of shock absorbers, weren't we? Yeah, I don't think they've got any give in them. But then it's got these great big balloon tyres, so it probably doesn't need it. I don't know if anybody noticed there, I'm holding back stick. That's purely to put the thrust from the propeller to force the tail wheel into the floor. Well, it hasn't got a tail wheel, it's got a skid, but it's one of the things where it's not quite accurately simulated. Okay. Even the animation of the engine stopping is good, isn't it? Very cool. So I think we just click down there to put the tablet back away. And yeah, there's no electrics on this aeroplane to deal with. It's purely mechanical, which is quite unusual, isn't it, in this day and age? Which is why you require a hand cranked start. So if you remember, we had to go and stand round by the engine to start it. But by the same token, we can do things like open the engine up and go fiddle with bits of the engine. So you can, and you can do the same with other pieces of the airplane. So there's various things you can go click on to fiddle with, and I can't remember off the top of my head. It's in the documentation. There's various things you can play with. It's very cool, isn't it? I'm not sure if we can start the engine with it open, but you have to wind it backwards to build up pressure first. So if I go and put... I've still got the magnetos on, by the way. They're that external switch that was just outside the canopy. So we'll pull it back 3 times. And then on the top half of the prop, we can push it forward. So if I just crack the throttle open... So you'll probably see, yeah, look. You can see the linkages moving. Let me zoom in. The same is true of other areas of the aeroplane. So, yeah, obviously you saw there's the throttle limits, you saw that earlier. I'm just trying to think if I can show you this easily. So we've got, yeah, all the linkages work on the control surfaces. So if we go back to the tail and watch those linkages, so if we go and turn the rudder, you can see there's that spring that's flexing on the skid as well. It's very impressive, isn't it? So it gives away all the magic. This is an entirely mechanical aeroplane with wings that can be unbolted, look, to be serviced and taken off and put on a truck to transport the aeroplane if you needed to, or put on a ship, I guess. And of course it's all cloth and wood, so they don't weigh anything. One of the fun things about the Tiger Moth is, if you go and look over here, that is your backup speed indicator. So it uses air pressure on a piece of metal on a spring that, as it gets pushed backwards, it reads off the speed. I think that's fantastic. So very, very rudimentary airspeed indicator, which from the cockpit you can see just by looking over towards the strut. It's great, isn't it? I'm not sure what this one is on this side. Oh, that's going to be pitot for the altimeter and the it's a modern altimeter, as you'll see, and a airspeed indicator. But it has got a period accurate compass as well. I would need to go and revise how this works again. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it does work, and it works accurately, which is interesting. Anyway, so if we starve the engine of fuel again, so we're going to cut the mixture back. So let's go to the front to do that. It's very cool, isn't it? Anyway, I think we've kind of covered it. This was the Emerald airfield, and that was the Orbx. Sorry, the Orbx make the Emerald, or sell the Emerald airfield. And that was Ants Aeroplanes Tiger Moth that we just saw. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Should we go and be nosy around inside the clubhouse, or not clubhouse, what am I talking about, the terminal. Bring ourselves back down to normal person height and speed. And go and say goodbye to all these lovely people and see if we can get a coffee. Oh, we didn't look in the shop, did we? How much is the coffee? Have they put the prices up? Or do they not dare? Oh, or a pie? Or a sandwich? Or some bright blue sport drink, maybe. Anyway, enough of that. I'll leave it there for today. See you all again soon. Take care.